Welcome back to the podcast, Heal Without Harm. My name is Dr. Clayton Dir, physical therapist and the one bringing you the truth on the medical system. Today's podcast is going to be about runners. Every single runner out there, whether you're running your first 5K, doing a couch to 5K, or practicing or training for your half marathon, marathon, or even ultra. I want to focus on one thing that most runners are skipping that's quietly causing their injuries, or at least contributing to it. It could also be limiting their performance and even shortening their running career. And it's not stretching. Stretching is the one thing that everybody asks for that they probably don't need to do more of. It's strength training. It's the one thing that most runners hate to do. Just like me, a strength trainer, like a person who does a lot of strength training, I hate running. Well, at least I once did. Then I started to learn a couple things. Anyway, let's get into it. Most running injuries are a strength problem in disguise. Let me put it this way. Most running injuries are, sorry, my cat just jumped up next to me while I'm recording. Most cases like Shin splints, plantar fasciitis, IT band syndrome, runner's knee, whatever you may have in that lower body that's coming from running, the majority of the time, it is a capacity issue. You are simply draining the fuel tank of that muscle and you keep running on it, and it's starting to let you know, we're not ready for this. We need to be stronger. And so they're starting to give you pain. When you have muscles that are supposed to support the joints that can't handle the load of repetitive impact, every mile that you run, your body has to absorb multiple times your body weight with every step. And if you don't have the strength to do it, or you have only the strength to do it for a matter of a couple miles, but you keep running farther, that's when pain starts to pop up. When the glutes, hips, and single leg stabilizers are weak, or they just simply don't lack the strength and endurance that you're asking them to do, the force has to go somewhere that it shouldn't. So it may appear in tendons, it may appear in direct muscle pain, and it may be something that appears in the joints getting essentially overused or irritated, we'll say. We'll keep it simple. Today, I want to focus on some common injuries that I see clinically, which I already talked about: shin splints, IT band syndrome, runner's knee, plantar fasciitis, glute pain. And the common thing between all of them is weakness. There's a couple different ways to look at this. One, you can think about injury prevention or even getting through an injury, which is why the number one thing I recommend for people who come in with some sort of a pain is strength training, or at least specific strength training or strength-focused exercises. But another thing is also performance enhancement. Strength training makes you a better, faster runner, not a bulkier one. It actually takes a significant amount of overeating and specific strength training to create a bulky look. So please don't even worry about that. I want you to think about how much this is going to improve what is called your running economy. More muscle doesn't mean more bulk. It just means more power with each stride, better running economy, like I said, and less energy wasted on inefficient movement, and less areas of the body taken on the force that shouldn't. Research even shows that runners who strength train can improve their running economy by up to 8%, which directly translates to a faster time, less fatigue over longer distance. So let's get into honestly what you do and don't need and how this can ultimately help you. I want to keep this short, and I just honestly want this to be a shareable episode that you can send to a friend that you've been trying to get to strength training that won't do it, and they can be like, okay, fine, I'll finally start. I want to let you know that runners don't need to live in the gym. Even just the last episode that I did, you could have a postmenopausal woman who never strength trained in her life start strength training at 30 minutes twice a week, and they noticed that bone density started to improve and muscle mass started to come on. It does not take much. You just need a couple sessions a week with targeted strength work, honestly focusing on single leg movements, hip stability, and posterior chain loading. Now, let me simplify that. Single leg movements, step ups, lunges, step downs, single leg Romanian deadlifts. We also want to look at hip stability. For me, my personal favorite is having everyone warm up with 90-degree clams and 7-way hips. If you don't know what those are, you can reach out to me afterwards, or you can just type in those words with my name around it, and I'm sure a YouTube video or TikTok will pop up. The single leg RDL is another one that works great for hip stability because it helps you with balance, but also strength in the posterior chain. And if you don't know what posterior chain means, posterior means backside of the body, anterior means front side of the body. So posterior chain is your glute, your hamstring, your calf. It's that one group of muscles from top to bottom of the leg that helps push the ground backwards, therefore propelling you forwards. If you start focusing on things like this, then you can start to improve, like I said, your runner's economy in regards of how strong you are with each stride, to where every step that you take is actually easier to do. The key exercises are going to be single leg Romanian deadlift, like I mentioned, a Bulgarian split squat, or my other favorite is ATG split squats. I like those actually a little bit better. A hip thrust of some sort, whether you do barbell loaded, or another one I really like if you don't want to play around with weights just yet, is a single leg bridge isometric, which means a single leg bridge that you hold your hips high up in the air for a matter of 30 seconds on each leg, and then rest and repeat that 3 times. And then lastly, calf raises. And I need you to load those fairly heavy, at least fairly heavy for you. And I want to go in on this real quick. A lot of the times people will do strength training movements and they will expect huge gains. But when I watch them work, they'll do 3 sets of 10. And when they get done with that first set of 10, if I were to ask them, hey, if you were to keep going until you hit full fatigue, how many more reps could you do? And they could probably do 10, 12, 15, 20 more. If you are not fatiguing the muscle and getting to, I will say near failure, 70, 80% to your failure, if you're not hitting that with each set, then you are not going to get the strength gains that all the research that I talk about is going to promise you. You just simply won't. You'll be doing your body good, but you won't be doing your body all that I'm telling you that you can get out of strength training. So make sure that at the end of each set, which is like a set of 10 or a set of 15, you are nearing 3 to 5 reps or even less till failure. Meaning if I said, okay, I know you did 10 before you actually stop, I'm going to just keep going. Let me see how many more you got in you. If you could do at least 5 more, then you are probably not fatiguing that muscle or muscle group enough to get the strength training benefits that I talk about that are going to be helpful for you. I want to go into a little bit more on these 4 exercises and then we'll finish up. The single leg Romanian deadlift you can do where you have one foot planted and then you go into a hip hinge with the opposite leg going behind you up into the air. This is going to be great for stability, balance, and glute strength. But if you want to add a little bit more strength aspect, instead of that back leg coming off the ground and going up in the air, you can leave the toe touching the ground into a kickstand position, and you can start loading this position by holding either dumbbells or kettlebells in your hands. The Bulgarian split squat is one leg back behind you propped up on a bench, and then you essentially do a split squat or a lunge type movement, strength training that front leg. I prefer more of an ATG split squat with the front foot actually on like a 6 or a 12-inch step. The back leg is very far behind you, and you almost go into what feels kind of like the splits. Imagine a very exaggerated lunge. The third one that I wanted to focus on was hip thrust. This is laying on your back and pushing your hips up into the air, or you can put your shoulders on a bench and you can let your hips drop and then push your hips back up to parallel with the ground. Or you can do my personal favorite, which is a single leg bridge, laying on your back, knees bent. You actually just use one leg to push your hips up into the air and you hold that for a matter of 30 seconds. Lastly, calf raises. The main point on calf raises is not only load them heavy, but I need you to have the balls of your feet on some sort of an edge or a step so that when you go down, your heels go below the ball of your feet. They go below parallel. That'll put a nice big stretch on the Achilles tendon and the plantar fascia, therefore encouraging those 2 areas of tissue to get a little bit more elongated, but also improve strengthening on them. These are the 4 exercises, with a small asterisk on 4 exercises, that I recommend. But ultimately, I just want you to do more strength training as a runner. And also, if you happen to be a strength training person listening, yes, you should run more. Ultimately, the cardiovascular system and the muscular system are 2 different systems, and you need both of them to be strong to be the best athlete you can be. I hope this helped out for you. Next episode is going to be absolutely killer. We have somebody who has got into running and actually started to win a couple marathons. I'm really excited for you guys to hear it. If you have any questions, please let me know. Other than that, I hope today's episode taught you how to heal without harm.